12 times 50, 300 plus 300, 1200 divided by 2, 800 minus 200.
Judy, what's with all the math?
I'm trying to figure out so many different ways to get to 600.
Well, congratulations, because you got to 600, and today we celebrate our 600th episode of Garden Time.
Welcome to Garden Time, and if you've been with us the past 16 years, congratulations to you for being with us for 600 episodes.
And we're celebrating today down at Egan Gardens, and coming up later in the show, we'll be talking to Ellen about some hot summer color.
And also coming up in the show today, we'll show you how to cut back your perennials for a second bloom.
But coming up first, we'll check out a water-wise garden in Central Oregon.
I am in Bend at the Holland's Head demonstration garden with Chris, who is a Master Garden volunteer. And this is an amazing demonstration garden. So Chris, why is it here?
Well, being water-wise is really important in Central Oregon, and we really have a different climate and everything for people to grow things. So people come from elsewhere and they don't know how to garden here. What they had before doesn't work. So we have a demonstration garden to show them plants that do grow here.
And you know, there's so many good ideas. So when you come here, you bring your notepad and your camera to take ideas home. And Chris is very, very well prepared for us, and you got all these wonderful tips. And so let's start right at the top with soil. So what do we need to know?
Soil here is sandy, and surprisingly, it's almost sterile.
Oh.
There's hardly any organic material in it, so we need to amend the soil. You can't just put a plant in and expect it to grow.
Yeah, and you know, we always tell people to add compost, so that we should all know that. That's important. And then what about temperature? Because we're up a little bit.
Temperature is a challenge here. First is our elevation. We range from 1,000 foot to 4,200 feet here, so that gives us longer winters, cooler nights, and hotter days during the summer. So that's a challenge. Secondly, we have great variation in our temperature. We can be 90 in the day and 40 at night.
Wow.
So that slows down plant growth. It's very difficult to cope with that. We have lots of microclimates, so your yard may be completely different than your neighbor's yard. And we also have a very short growing season here. We have maybe an 80 to 100 day growing season. Our gardening season doesn't start until somewhere around the end of May, the beginning of June, and we start getting frosts in September even. And actually there are only 10 days in Central Oregon where we have never had a frost.
Oh, wow. That is really a learning curve if you're just moving here. Very much.
Yeah, and that's really a challenge for people.
And then moisture, because we know this is high desert. It says it right there.
Exactly. We have very little precipitation, particularly during the summer months. So it's critical that you have an efficient irrigation system.
Right.
Irrigation usually here for most effectively is drip.
Drip. Yep.
Yes, yeah. And this garden has 4 different methods of drip irrigation and a high efficiency overhead irrigation method that people can look at, see what might work best in their own garden.
That's really a help, really, to kind of see that and see how to put that in or see how it works.
Right.
Excellent. And then, so plant selection, you know, I see a lot of my favorites here, but maybe we really need to be careful with that.
Yeah, we don't have the luxury here of going to a nursery, seeing a gorgeous plant, just picking it up, taking it home, and expecting it to survive. We really do have to be careful. The USDA says we're in zone 6. Actually, we recommend to people that they choose plants that are between 3 and 5.
Wow.
plants really do need to be hardy here, and that limits your selection. We recommend also that people look to the Intermountain West plant lists as opposed to the Pacific Northwest plant selection books, as well as educational material.
Perfect. Yes,
Yeah.
that's a great tip. And then maybe about personal recommendations.
Well, people here need to, before they actually go out and plant, they need to get educated. And OSU classes are a great source of educational programs, as well as the OSU publication list. And there is a section in there that's specifically for Central Oregon. Secondly, I'd say you need to be persistent and patient. It will happen if you learn about it, try different things, and then finally, I think you really need to be proud
Oh, of course.
when
Definitely.
you've accomplished something.
Definitely.
A good garden here. And people a lot of times say you can't have a good garden here, and you really can. You just have to do it differently, probably, than you did it before.
And Chris, that information that you were talking about on the OSU website, you have it, the pamphlet right here.
Yes, I do. This booklet is the Waterwise Gardening Book for Central Oregon. And in here it gives you a great number of tips about how to do waterwise gardening. As well, there's a substantial plant list in here. And many of the plants that are included in this demonstration garden are in this booklet.
Oh, that is wonderful. And you can go online to the OSU website and download this. You don't have to right away for the pamphlet, for the booklet. And if you go to gardentime.tv, we'll click you over to all those websites so you can get all the information. But if you're in the area, please come to this demonstration garden and really see it firsthand. It's stunning, and you can have beautiful gardens right here in Central Oregon. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Welcome to Blooming Junction, where it's easy to connect with nature. At Blooming Junction, you'll find beautiful, healthy plants, good, fresh food, and a place to regain peace and calm in your life. We have an unsurpassed collection of unique and distinctive plants and the expertise to help any gardener be successful. And we feature Blooming Advantage plants. Come check out Blooming Junction for an inspiring experience in the garden or in the kitchen. Blooming Junction, offering quality plants for beautiful gardens.
We're down here at Egan Gardens. I'm with Ellen. Ellen, it's been kind of a hot summer and our yards are maybe looking a little tired. They've had some damage from the summer, but there's still a lot of summer left and there's a lot of color that we can still have in our yards. So it looks like you have this cart full of some great color, and these all look, like they're very heat tolerant plants.
They are heat tolerant. In fact, some of them are potentially really hot, like the chili peppers. Although this one is called chili chili because it's not going to burn your grandchild's mouth if he eats it. The little peppers start to turn all red so that it has all different shades of yellow, orange, and red peppers on it, which are just as decorative as flowers. This one is called Black Pearl. It also is a pepper. It's a great center for a fall color or late summer color planter. The peppers start out shiny black and turn bright red as they get ripe. So these are good little fill-ins for the later season. Lots of the things we have on the cart here are looking really good because they're really fresh because the heat hasn't bothered them at all. So if you've got annuals that fried, like your lobelia, and if you hadn't replaced your pansies yet before the big heat wave,
those definitely need to be replaced.
So Scaevola is the great blue trailer or purple trailer for summer that never is bothered by the heat the way lobelia would be.
And then these guys.
Yeah. Sometimes geraniums, as much as I love geraniums, as many of them as I grow and sell, sometimes they don't look as good after a heat wave. Pentas gives you sort of that same look, but with absolute heat tolerance, and these all bloom on through the fall too.
Wow.
People make the mistake of thinking that, oh, annuals just bloom in summer. No, you get all of September, October, depending on the weather, into
Right.
November.
Right, you can get some
out of
late,
your
late
annuals.
until they get some late frost, so that cool closes
Yeah.
down. It's just a lot of color.
The other great thing about the annuals is they're good color fillers where your perennials fried. Now, some perennials were just naturally done blooming
Right.
and chopped back and maybe regrowing. Some of them that were in full bloom during the heat wave a month ago were just toasted, and you wouldn't have had to cut them back, but now you do have to cut them back. This fills your color in so you just don't feel
Right.
deprived for the rest
Right.
of the summer.
But there are some great, perennials that are blooming naturally this time of year. We have the earlier season ones, but some of these perennials are just great summer perennials. So,
Yeah, they're ones that hadn't even started blooming yet when the heat hits, so
Right.
they're just all coming out nice and fresh. The black-eyed Susans are just a classic for late summer and fall.
and so many different colors of them too.
Yes, the pure gold of the new variety, Amarillo Gold, and Denver Daisy. Agastaches, they'll bloom summer, fall, just about any time, I think. The foliage is wonderfully fragrant, and the hummingbirds and bees just
They
love
love
them.
those.
They're good in containers,
And
too.
they have some other fun colors too, some yellows.
Yeah,
and things.
yellows and oranges. They're all kind of soft colors, though.
Right.
They're the subtle things, no in-your-face colors. Phlox was just starting to come into bloom when the heat hit. So it's a little bit farther out than it would be normally,
Right.
but still lots of good color in phlox. And then getting down to the bottom shelf to the zinnias that we forgot as we
Right.
were talking about annuals. You can just plug zinnias in around your shrubs and your perennials just for that spot of color that goes no problem nonstop
Right.
all summer.
And they make a nice cut flower too.
They do if you get the tall
Yeah,
varieties.
yeah.
We're out of the Benari giants, but every spring we have those big monster ones
Right.
that make great
Love the
cut
heat.
flowers.
And-
We even have some planters
Right.
that are made up with examples of these real heat lovers. Blue salvia and vinca. Oh, we didn't even talk about vinca. That's one of the best heat-loving annuals. No damage to them through all that heat. The calibricoas keep going, and this succulent, Mizzou, is a great heat-loving trailer.
So there really is a ton we can still do in our gardens to add that color, between the perennials and the annuals to get us through summer into fall until we swap it out again. So,
Right.
make sure you come down and visit Ellen down here at Egan Gardens. Rejuvenate your gardens and make them last for the rest of the summer. It loves the heat, and we've had a trial this summer, and so these are some tried and true. So, Ellen,
Yeah.
thanks for having us down here,
thank
and
you.
we're going to get in our garden and add some more color for the summer.
Our tip of the week is all about weeding. Sometimes you're in a rush and you go past your garden and you see a weed in full flower and you're too busy to pull the whole weed. So what you should do is just deadhead it, just take it right off. And don't leave that weed right in the garden on the ground there. Make sure that you take it and put it in the trash or the compost, because even though these flowers are dead, they can still germinate. And then as soon as possible, go back and take up the rest of the weed and make sure that you get as many of the roots as possible. Well, weeding in the garden and deadheading those weeds, that's our tip of the week.
Garden Time is brought to you by Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
At Portland Nursery, we believe that gardening is a creative endeavor that enriches our experience, enlivens the spaces around us, and provides a safe haven for the mind. Portland Nursery has everything you need to make your space feel unique, inviting, and exciting. From houseplants and hedges to trees, tools, veggies, and herbs, our selection is always growing and changing, just like you. Come visit us today at 50th and Stark, 90th and Division.
Judy, what are you doing?
You said to follow you.
Follow us on Facebook.
Oh, man. Well, we invite all of our viewers to follow the Garden Time page on Facebook.
And on our Facebook page, you'll find links to stories, you'll see upcoming events, and you also might even find a funny joke or two.
So don't forget, go to the gardentime.tv webpage and click the link for Facebook. I am at beautiful historic Aurora at French Prairie Perennials with Carrie, and beautiful morning. You have a beautiful yard here with so many plants. It's amazing.
Thank you very much. We really enjoy our location here, and we really enjoy color.
Yeah, definitely. And so to get this beautiful color, there's just a little bit of chores that you have to do with perennials. So we're going to learn about deadheading. So let's just jump in.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I thought it would be easiest to show you a plant that's in its glory, but when this bloom is spent and trying to make seeds, which you don't really want it to.
No, definitely.
It takes all the energy out of the plant, puts it into seeds, and then sometimes you get seedlings of lupin that maybe aren't the color that you selected because they revert back to their parent heritage. Anyway, if I was to cut this plant back because this was spent, I would go down to a joint in the stem where there's vegetative buds, which is really difficult to see, and I would cut it right down here.
Right.
Cut it off, and that would cause other buds to come out, and then you would extend the life of your lupin. You would have additional bloom.
Ah, that is great. And so pretty easy, and so it's just a timing thing.
Yes.
So let's show them some different plants because they're all different looking. So you have a campanula down front here.
This campanula, most of the buds are spent, and so for me, I'm looking at it thinking I need to restart this plant and reset. It's not looking good. So I do what I call the ponytail haircut, where I gather everything up. I never cut more than maybe 2/3 off, and I literally go through and just cut all the way through there, so that hopefully.
And it's not going to hurt the plant, and you're actually, in probably just a week or so, it's going to look nice, no?
Absolutely. It regrows really fast, and the blooms set faster than you think.
Excellent. And let's move down a little bit, and we'll see some of these other ones. What else you have?
So a stilby, you can see they will continue to send up blooms as long as their roots are cool. That's a big thing about perennials. If you really want to extend their shelf life or bloom season, is that you want to go through and cut out the old spent blossoms like this, and new ones will keep coming up. But to extend their cycle, like I was saying, keeping the roots cool, you can do that a couple different ways. One is watering. Another one is to put a mulch down of some sort. Mulch can be bark dust. It doesn't have to be bark dust. But mulches work in 2 different seasons. In the wintertime, they keep roots warmer. And in the summertime, it keeps the roots cooler. And the longer you keep a perennial root cooler, it tends to bloom longer for the season.
Ah, great tip.
Yeah.
Great tip.
So I have another astilbe next to that. The foliage got burned.
Ah.
And for me, that's a restart. And so I just do my famous
Your ponytail?
ponytail haircut, cut it down pretty low, and I might even get a bloom still out of that particular one.
But the foliage looks so pretty. It looks like a fern for the rest of the season.
Great companion plants to the ferns and the pelargoniums
definitely.
and things like that, yeah.
Nice. And then what about delphiniums? Because delphiniums, I think people think, oh, it's just a one-shot deal, but really it can keep blooming?
Absolutely. I think the key to that is they don't know where to cut.
Ah.
And so here's a spent blossom. Nothing else is going to come out on that particular stalk. So I'm just going to go down to the bottom.
Oh, all the way down.
Cut it all the way down. Usually I'm doing it to the whole plant because usually they're all in bloom at once.
Right.
But in this case, I have 2 other blossoms that are still ready to appear. And so I'm just selectively doing that. But when I'm doing it, I literally go down to about 1 inch to the ground because the new plants, the new branches are down in here just sprouting and emerging.
Carrie, as you're moving those down, let's move that Gaillardia forward and talk about how you would deadhead that one.
Sure. This Gaillardia is misshapen, and it has clearly, to me, gotten too much nitrogen. And so I would definitely start this one over if it was me. Some people, it's really hard for them to do that. They want, if that's the case, then go through and deadhead down to a vegetative bud. But for me, it's time for this one to get reworked, and it's the ponytail haircut.
And really, midsummer is not a bad time to do that.
No,
It's got a lot of life in it.
Yeah, it could probably happen twice in a summer easily because I find Gaillardia just bounce back so well from a pruning. But as far as fertilizers go, I like to recommend for perennials fertilizers that are lower in nitrogen level. So on a fertilizer bag, you know how there's 3 numbers.
Sure.
The first one being nitrogen, and it's a percentage of nitrogen. And so I like perennials to get maybe a 10 or 12% nitrogen. You'll get shorter stems, but they'll be stronger. And for people that live in the gorge, they're always telling me I have wind, you know. So that's one way that you can kind of combat that.
So Carrie, what about a taller plant like a dahlia? How would you trim that?
Yeah, well, these on a dahlia are spent. You can see they're kind of squishy. And I just go down to the next joint in the stem, as long as there's flower buds there. This one is also spent, so I'd take that one, but I would leave that one. When this one is spent, you can see there's a little flower bud right there, so I would just simply prune to there. But once all the flowers on that stalk are blossomed out, I go down to the next joint in the stem where there appears to be new growth.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then I see you have 2 different Veronicas here, so explain about those.
Yeah. One is an example of something I would do the ponytail haircut to.
Okay.
And one is an example of where I might just do some selective deadheading. So for me, this one's not as attractive as it might be. And if you look carefully below, there's a little bud right here for new flowers. So I'm just going to go through and clean this one up a little bit. And you could choose to take this one off if you wanted to, or you could say, hey, it's worth leaving. I tend to clean them up.
All right, and then the other one, you would do a ponytail?
Yeah, it's definitely time. And these rebloom throughout the season, so I'm never ashamed or upset to go through and give it a good old haircut.
Perfect. And then on the last one, you have 2 Gauras here, so explain
do.
what you mean about that.
Well, this guy used to be this guy. And they'll be real leggy and fall over and just won't look very good. So I just go through and make sure that I'm getting all the tips and prune low, and a lot of these will sprout out very nicely, very quickly, and you'll get a good plant.
You know, all of these tips have been so good. I don't think we've ever gotten this in depth about perennials, so thank you so much. And you know, Fresh Prairie Perennials is right in Aurora. Beautiful things out in here, the yard. Just don't drive by. Come on in and see all these beautiful plants. So if you need to find directions, please go to gardentime.tv and come on out to Fresh Prairie Perennials. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Welcome to your all-new Capital Subaru. Let me show you around. Our showroom is bigger and brighter than ever before. Same great Subarus, same great people. It's an entirely new experience. You're going to love the new space. We've tripled our service department to get you in and out quickly. It's a game changer. We also have an amazing new dog park and some great unique spaces to check out. It's time to discover again.
The new Capital Subaru. Your way on the Parkway.
Little Baja is your source for a whole lot of terracotta and concrete too. From bird baths and benches to Buddhas, bears, and fountains, plus the exclusive Baja chimney. We have an amazing variety of the finest in terracotta and concrete containers. Come check out our selection of statuary for any garden theme or setting. So for something for the garden, deck, or patio, come see us at Little Baja on East Burnside in Portland. Find us on Facebook too.
I'm at Smith Berry Barn today, and it's berry season, but it's always berry season here, Joelle.
It feels like it sometimes, you bet.
And you know, sometimes we have berries and then we need to do something else with them because we can't eat them fresh as they're right there.
Exactly.
And so maybe you have something that we can do with those extras?
So today we're going to talk about jam making. We're not going to actually make some jam, which we've done with you in the past, but because we're into our blackberry and blueberry season right now, we think that's a great way to use up your extras. So one of the things we like to talk about, we've used it here before, is the Pomona's pectin. This is a citrus-based pectin that allows you to make your jam without using the normal amount of sugar.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can use sugar substitute, you can use honey, you can use no sugar at all. Wow. It's a great product. So we love that. We also then have all of the supplies that you need to make the jam itself. So we have a hot water bath canner here. This is a great canner for using on a glass stovetop or an induction stovetop, which is sometimes difficult if you have that kind of a stove.
Yeah, right.
So we have that, and then we have our food mill that we like, especially during blackberry season. Our Triple Crown blackberries right now are excellent. They're a beautiful big berry, but they do have some seeds in them. So today we opted to make our jam without the seeds, and so we're using the food mill for that. We also have all of the canning to make your canning easier. You really want to be prepared when you're canning. You want to get all of your supplies ready beforehand, make it a smooth process. So we have our different funnels. We have a standard regular mouth funnel. We have the wide mouth funnel. We have a ladle that is a easy pour ladle that helps you to pour the jam into the jar without making a mess. We have my favorite little tool here are the tongs that help you with picking out your lids out of the jar.
No burning of fingers.
Exactly. And then we have our can lifter or jar lifter, so that helps you get the hot jars out of the canner without burning yourself.
Joelle, I see that you have all these pieces separately, but you have a canning set too.
We do. So if you're just getting started with canning, this has all of the parts that you need. It makes it really quick and easy to get started.
That is
We also have various different jars. We have different decorative pieces for finishing your jars.
Look at that. Isn't that sweet? Because we love to share and give them as gifts.
Exactly.
And then you want to label them, and even for your own self, you want to have the labels so that you know when you made it.
Right. So we have the labels for that as well, all different kinds.
That is so great. And we do have had in the past, we've done so many things with you on just different preserving and making jams and jellies. And you can go to the Garden Time website and we'll have those links for those archives so that you can see the process. But we never have enough time to talk about all these pieces and the supplies. And really, they're in your store, and people can help if there's any questions.
Exactly. We're always happy to help and answer questions.
I love the idea of homemade jam, but sometimes I'm just too busy. So can you help me out with that?
Oh, I sure can. So we have all of our jams in our store. This happens to be our Triple Crown jam, which is what we've been talking about today, made with our own fresh berries. So, of course, it's delicious.
Oh, definitely. So when you come out to Smith Berry Barn, it is about the fruit. You want to get all that fresh, delicious fruit. But if you want to go one step further with preserving and get all these jam supplies and make some jam for your family to really enjoy the rest of the season. Joelle, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Garden Time. And remember, it is still summer, it is still hot, so make sure you watch those plants and take care of yourself too.
And if you have any questions about today's show or any show, please go to gardentime.tv. Ryan and I thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week here on Garden Time.
Hey Judy, happy 600!
Happy!
Located in the heart of Willamette Valley's hops, hazelnut, and wine country, Caddy Farms is a beautiful option for your upcoming wedding or event. Enjoy the diverse venue the over 40-acre farm offers, with manicured gardens, a private forest and spacious meadow, chef's kitchen, and covered patios, all just 5 minutes off of I-5 in Aurora, Oregon. Caddy Farms, now booking upcoming events.
The proceeding was a paid program of the GUSTIN Creative Group and its sponsors.